In this video, you will learn how to use Amazon Product Opportunity Explorer and Brand Analytics data to validate your new product ideas. And our guest today is Daniel Fernandez. He's an PPC expert and cross-border e-commerce copyright and marketing expert as well. And this session is part of the Seller Fest online virtual event, which is also supported by two companies. One is a VAA Academy, Virtual Assistants Academy, Philippines. They are specializing in virtual assistants for Amazon sellers. And we have another company supporting this stream. It's Getida. It's a FBA auditing company. They help to maximize reimbursements for Amazon sellers of any size. So check the links below in the description for these two companies supporting this video. And now it's worth to mention that we will be hosting this video together with Lisette. Hi, Lisette. She works with Amazon sellers and hosts videos at Orange Click.
Hi, Augustus. Great to be back here with you to make another great event for Amazon sellers. And I'm also excited to invite and welcome Daniel, who will share his knowledge about how to use Amazon Product Opportunity Explorer and Brand Analytics tool to validate product ideas and also prepare for product launches. So hi, Daniel. Before we go into it, could you first introduce yourself and also let us know what you do in the Amazon space?
Hi, Lisette, Augustus. First of all, very excited to be here. And I remember the PPC Congress in 2019 in Amsterdam. That was a lot of fun. So I'm excited to share again with the Orange Click community. About myself, just very quick, I've been in the Amazon industry since about 2015. I own an agency, amzclever.com. We help brands grow on Amazon, Walmart. And that took me to living in China for a few years, in Asia for a few years. Now I'm back in the States. And what we basically focus on is Amazon every day. And today, my goal is to share with you some actionable content that you can implement today. Like this is the best thing is to apply what you learn right away. So that's my goal for today when it comes to figuring out if a product or a keyword or a product idea is a good fit for Amazon. So very excited to be here and ready to go as soon as you're ready.
Very good. Thank you so much for the short introduction.
Let's get started. I'm going to be talking about Product Opportunity Explorer and Brand Analytics. Many of you may have heard about this a few times already, but I think the angle that I'm going to approach here is quite new. And my hope, once again, is that this is something you can implement today. And the focus of this is going to be a lot about validation. You can validate a new product or an idea, or maybe it's a product that you're selling already that you just want to know if it's on the right track. So that's what we are going to be talking about. And let me just break this down. I'm going to start talking about the problem. And this is, when I say the problem, is the problem in validation, right? Knowing basically what to sell and how to sell it, and if it makes sense to do it now on Amazon. Then I'm going to be talking about the solution, which basically uses these tools. Then we're going to do some Q&A, and if we have time, I have a couple of bonus tips that I'll cover. So with that being said, I want to ask everybody I know that everybody's on their computers, to put your phones away, turn notifications off, be with me during this talk to get the most out of it. Perfect. Augustus is demonstrating there that's a phone and it's off. So and hopefully once again you get a lot of value out of this. So let me get started with the problem. And the main thing is, and it seems like the image got moved, so I'll have to narrate. This is a question of, is Amazon good for creating demand? That's the word that we're missing, right? So maybe there's a live chat here. Share in the chat what you think, if Amazon is good or not for creating demand, if it's the right platform or not. So
So you're welcome to write in the chat if you think
You know,
Amazon
give
is a good place to create a demand. You can type 1. If you think it's not good, you can type 0. All right. Of course, we have a delay a little bit with the live stream, about 20 seconds. So.
Yes. So, and also the image covered the question part. So the question is Amazon good for creating demand? Yes or no? All right, so we're getting some yeses, no. Yeah, AK says 1, which means yes. Gil says yes. Errol.
Yeah, I think everybody agrees besides Mas.
There's a few mixed comments here. So Mia, no, but Amazon is great for the very bottom of the funnel. Thanks, Rich. So let me touch on here. Amazon is not good for creating demand. Amazon is where the demand is good for finding where the demand is and then joining it, trying to carve away a piece of that demand with your product, with a strong offer. When a product that doesn't have, there's no demand on Amazon, could be that it's too early for the market. It's common that a lot of Kickstarter products, for example, don't catch traction on Amazon just simply because there is still no awareness in the market of people that are buying that product. So the question then lies on how to find demand. And it's important to talk about the product life cycle, right? So we have, this is the journey that every product follows. So when there is that, you see that initial blue portion, that is when a product is brand new and very few people know about it. There is basically no demand. That's when you're too early for the market, right? Think about the fidget spinners maybe 10 years ago on Amazon. There was no demand, but then one day it started going viral, right? And then the demand basically skyrocketed. That is that green section. And then that yellow section there is when it peaks and only then starts to go down when basically the hype is over. But there's a little bit of blue there that says product extension. And that's when products become more sophisticated. So people start innovating products. Maybe there were only, a blue model. People start coming up with a red model or something like that. So markets get more sophisticated. But this is also to show that Amazon is not a set it and forget it platform. Products have a life cycle, and the competition jumps in and everybody starts to innovate the products, so that ones that don't continue to innovate start to also decline. But my point here is you want to find products. By the time you find a product in the yellow section of this product life cycle is a bit too late, right? Because by the time you get to market, that a lot of these niches are going to start to decline or get more sophisticated, which you could ride that wave of getting innovating the product. But ideally, you want to find a product in that green section. So you want to be part of that growth. And that's a little bit of what I'm going to be talking about. If you enter a market being in that yellow section or even in that red section, you better start implementing that blue section, which is when products get innovated. So let me continue here. So there's some methods that people were using to find demand. The one here is covered by obviously the big red cross there, but this is looking at the best sellers on Amazon. And this is a bad method because products that are already on that page, they are already at the peak. So if you launch something, it's either too late or it's either too competitive. Another method I have here is using tools like this. I'm not going to say the name, but it starts with a J and ends with out. So, and the problem with this method is also that by the time you look at products here that are selling a lot, they're too competitive, and if you try to go against them, is usually swimming against the current. Lastly, I have another one here and you can probably recognize what this tool is. And this one, it shows the search volumes. And for a long time, search volumes have been the way to find the demand or validate if there is demand or not. But the problem of that is search volume doesn't equal sales volume, or doesn't equal sales, right? And this is why we still look at search volume, but we see it as a weak demand indicator. Whereas sales volume, a lot of what we're going to be talking about today is that sales volume. How do we find the sales volume? Because that is a strong demand indicator. But that is not enough, right? There is something even better than sales volume, and that is figuring out your sales volume per keyword plus what is the conversion rate for organic purchases per keyword, which is what we're going to be talking about today, and that is a stronger demand indicator. So I want you to think about this for a second. If you know for a set of a few keywords, you know how many sales are coming through those, you know what the conversion rates are for the products that are at the top, and also on average for that keyword, then you'll be able to have a very clear path. If your new product, it makes sense to enter that market with your new product, or maybe your existing product, you'll be able to compare how you're doing, whether you're winning or losing or just coasting. So which leads me to the biggest question. And if you want to know if you ever want to test the Amazon experts out there, I think the main question is always, what's the most important thing on Amazon? And the most important thing is the answer to this question: where are your competitors getting their sales from? And to be more specific, which keywords are they generating their sales from? It's a simple math, right? You have a competitor, and then most of their keywords are coming from a limited number of keywords. And if you can figure out what those are, and then your product can start ranking, and you start looking at your conversion rate, and you can track your competitors' conversion rate. And if it starts becoming to that level, then you will win. So ultimately, figuring out what conversion rate. So we're going to be talking about how you can actually get this data. And the best part is that, as I was showing in a previous slide, this is no longer coming from outside sources or tools. This is actually data that Amazon is giving you. So it's coming right from the source. And this is something that, it looks like Amazon in the last few months, they had some board meeting, and then they just decided it was time to share all the data that they have been keeping away from sellers for many years. So let's talk about the solution. So now that you understand the problem, which is finding demand, knowing if when a product is time for a product, right, to enter the market, or when it's too late, and ways to compare if you have product ideas. Now let's talk about how you do that, how you get that data. And one of the ways we're going to be calculating these is using the Product Opportunity Explorer. And for short, I'm going to refer to it as the POE. And this is something that is found in Seller Central inside the growth section. You can see there on my screen is the last option. Now, if you don't have access to it, if you don't have access to the POE, it could be for a couple of reasons. Number one, you need brand registry with Amazon. Number two, if you have brand registry, it's possible they haven't unlocked it for your account, but don't worry, here's an email address from Amazon. You can send them an email, but don't just tell them to give you access for that. Remember, this is a new service, and it's a beta service. What you want to do is tell them, hey, I would love to test this tool. I see I don't have it on my account. Can I please be part of the beta testers, and I'm happy to give feedback of what I think. Right? Always think about what's in it for them when making this request. And I think with this, if you don't have it, your chances of getting it unlocked are very high. Also, making sure if you're being added as a user to an account, or you're adding other people as users, make sure that they add them as global users, so that they can see this report. Even if they are an admin on the account, they will not see it unless they are a global user. So now here's how the POE dashboard looks like. And the main part here I wanna show is it has a search bar, right? It is a search engine. You can type in keywords, and then Amazon is gonna break down and give us all kinds of data points about these keywords, which I'm gonna touch on a bit more in depth in the coming slides. It's the screen might be a little bit blurry, but I have there an example where I typed in omega-3 as the keyword on that search box. A couple notes here. The data that Amazon is giving us here is from the last 360 days, so just about the last year, and it also represents the products that will appear are the products that captured as a whole 80% of all the clicks in a given niche, right? So if a niche has 100 products and then 2 products captured 80% of all the clicks, then we're only going to see 2 products, right? But if in a different niche that has, let's say, 100 products as well, it's more distributed. Let's say 50 products combined capture 80% of all clicks. Those are the Amazon is going to be showing us data based off of 50 products instead. So let's jump right in. These are the marketplaces where the POE is available. So United States, and then the 5 original marketplaces in Europe. And once again, this is how the dashboard looks like. And I want to here, bear with me, the image is obstructing a word. It should say customer need. We're going to call it a niche versus top search terms. Okay, so that the word terms here is missing. But Amazon is giving us, if you can see on the screenshot, it's giving us the first column says customer need. And customer need is not a search term, rather is a group of search terms that Amazon is deeming they have something in common, right? They fall under one of these customer needs or niche. For example, in this case, I typed in omega-3, and Amazon gave me a bunch of different niches. So vegan omega-3, omega-3 gummies, algae omega-3, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then within the customer need or niche of vegan omega-3, Amazon is giving me a few search terms. And then they're giving me a score, which is not very helpful. They're giving me a search volume. This is actual search volume data coming from Amazon. Unlike other tools out there that they make guesses at the end of the day, Amazon here is giving us the total search volume for all of those search terms combined in the last 360 days. They're telling us that search volume, how it compares to the previous 360 days, right? To see if that niche is expanding or contracting. Remember what I mentioned at the beginning, the product life cycle, right? Is the niche expanding or starting to decline? And obviously the economy plays a little bit of a role here. So you need to account for that as a variable as well. They are also sharing the search volume for the last quarter, and then the change between that and the previous quarter. So very important. If you see that there is a niche that is basically year over year and quarter over quarter continues to expand, that is fantastic. That's something you want to look a little bit deeper and expand that upon. So the other metrics I'm not going to discuss much. just because they are a little bit too general to help with doing this research. Let's jump in here. So when you, I'm going to be going back and forth. When you click on one of these customer needs or niches, it will bring you to a page like this. And then you're going to have, I know it's a little small, but at the top, you have a few different options: products, search terms, insights, trends, and customer review insights. So right now we are on the first one, the one that says products. And I'm going to go back here for a second, because there is a column here, the third to last, that says number of top clicked products, right? So this is what I mentioned earlier, that right now, for example, the first one has 11. That means 11 products accumulated 80% of all the clicks, right? Let me tell you how you use these numbers. So you want to go for a niche that has the biggest number on that column, because you want 80% of all the clicks to be distributed by as many products as possible, right? Otherwise, if it's just a few products, that means it's too concentrated at the top, right? That means if it's like 5 products, it means 5 products are dominating the niche. So therefore, it's going to be very hard for a newcomer to get some market share, right? So now this is I would say relative to different niches. So in general, like for example, here on omega-3, 11 could be a low number or it could be a high number. It depends on the specific niche. I would say at least you want to see 15, 20, maybe more in terms of that number on that column. You also get average price, but price is also a different subject. It's possible to sell more expensive and be more premium and still do well. So it really depends on what you're selling. All right. So here we are on the products view, and the most important thing to look at here is which products are getting most of the clicks. And you can see that header that is highlighted in green. You can see that out of all the clicks that existed in this niche, what percentage were captured by the number 1 product, number 2 product, number 3 product, and so on. And again, you want to see less of a pyramid, an inverted pyramid, where the product at the top is getting significantly larger proportion of all the clicks. You want to see a little bit more of a tower, right? If the first 5, maybe 5 to 10 products have a very nice, a little bit even distribution of click shares, that is a good thing. In this example, with that product at the top, with 40% of all the clicks, that's a little bit high. Ideally, we would like to see more on the second, on the third, maybe all the way down to the 5th product in terms of distribution. Now here I clicked on the first product, and then we can see. Sorry, let me go back. You can see a few metrics here, but you can see they're at the bottom, and I know it's a little bit covered by the video, but you can see perfect. You can see their click count, and then you can see their click growth, right? You can see if they are getting more or less clicks over time. And that's for the last 30 days and also for the last 90 days. So here you can take a couple approaches, right? If the number 1 product is losing click shares, that is in many cases, that's a good thing, right? But only if the second, third, fourth, 5th products are gaining click share, right? That means they're taking market share away. And that's something that's probably a niche that you want to enter, because it means that the person at the top is not consolidated at the top, right? You want to stay away from a niche that has many products at the top losing click share. where that would just mean that the market is shrinking as a whole. That product life cycle is a little bit more towards the end of that cycle. Here's another. So we were clicked on one of the products. Now on that same product, I have scrolled down, and you can see a chart, and then you can also see basically a few other products that have the same search terms in common, right? Or rather, where this product also has a presence, right, in terms of the different niches. Right now, I want you to focus on the chart that we see here. So we can see how in the green line is how the click count for this product is trending over time, right? So we can see that in this year it's been going down, and especially most recently, you can see that way at the very end, it has taken a hit, right? It has gone down quite a bit in the last few weeks there. The other thing too is we can see for in this niche, the yellow line is how many offers, right, exist in this niche, and you can see that back in earlier this year there were a lot of offers, right? But over time, a lot of these offers are disappearing. So this means a few things, right? One, a lot of brands, a lot of sellers are not making money here, so they're leaving the market, right? It could also mean that there's logistical issues, so brands are not able to restock on time. If that's the case, that is a very good opportunity, right? But in general, in this specific example, this is a market, this is a niche that is a little bit more mature. So it's a little bit harder, will be a little bit harder to enter this market as less offers are happening. Last, I'm moving here to, and then within this product, customer reviews, review insights. Here, Amazon is analyzing all of the reviews, and they're extracting little parts of reviews that are in common, and they're creating these categories, right? You can see on the left side is positive review snippets, they're calling them. On the right side, it is negative review snippets. And within each of these two columns, they are creating topics, right? They're analyzing reviews and giving us, when they find topics that are recurring in many reviews, they are sharing those with us. So for example, if we see that first one, in the positive side, we have vegan, organic, and we have 9 mentions of positive reviews that are within this category. Then we have one there, ease of choking, swallowing, smell, taste overall. So those are the different reasons, right? People like. Now, way at the bottom, I don't like it because they are just giving us one mention. So it's a data set of one. So I technically we want to look at just the top 1, 2, or 3. On the negative side, again, there's only one mention, so it's a data set of one. It's not as useful. What I like to see is, if you scroll down a little bit, they are giving us the contribution of each of these topics to the average ratings, right? So that, if you have a 4.5 stars, they could tell us, well, half a star is thanks to this topic, right? 1 star is thanks to this topic. So they're dissecting those ratings into specific topics, categories, which is very useful, as well as at the very bottom where you see in red, they're telling us which topics are the ones that are taken away from having a full 5 stars, right? Also, this data, the reviews that Amazon uses for these are not lifetime reviews, but are rather, I think it's the last 60 or 90 days worth of data. So it keeps it very recent. And obviously products that have a lot of reviews and getting a lot of sales are the ones that are going to have more, richer data in here. So that all that I just shared is just the first tab, right? The products tab, and then you can click on a product and then go even deeper. Let's talk about the second tab here, which is the search terms tab. So here now Amazon is telling us all the search terms that are part of what they consider a customer need or niche, and they're going to be giving us the actual search volume for each of these search terms. They're going to be giving us also the growth, right? Is that expanding or shrinking year over year, as well as in this case is only year over year. When we go inside one of these, we'll be able to see a few more data points. The other thing, the second to last column, is something I want you to pay attention. Here they're giving us the search conversion rate, and this is the average conversion rate for each of these search terms. And there's two insights I want to give you here. One is you want to look at search terms that have a high conversion rate, number one, because that means there's a high purchase intent when people search that search volume. But you also want to look at the ones that have low conversion rate. For example, the fourth row over there has a significantly lower search conversion rate. And the reason you also want to look at that is because when there's a low search conversion rate, it means, on average, it means there's no product in that for that keyword that is resonating with the audience, the people that are searching it, right? You can see the fourth row is being searched about 10,000 times, and the conversion rate is significantly lower, and that could be an opportunity of a niche that you can catch right on the early stages of the hockey stick, right? If you can come up with a product that answers that intent, right, that people have when they search that. Lastly, that last column there is also important because they show you the top 3 clicked products. And something you don't want is to see the same product appearing over and over and over and over again, which you can see is the case in that for that last column, that third sub column, you see the same product everywhere, right? That is not a done deal, but it means to me a little bit of too much consolidation at the top. All right, so here there's a few things that I mentioned it. I'm just going to point out here with the notes. Amazon is giving us search volume, and they're giving us search conversion rate. And I need to clarify this. This is not conversion rate calculated by people that visit a product. Rather is conversion rate using, in PPC terms, instead of clicks, they are calculating conversion rate with impressions. Okay, think about that for a second. So it's not orders divided by clicks. Here it would be equivalent to orders divided by impressions, right? So that's why it's called search conversion rate, which is what we use here to calculate how many purchases exist in this niche. So we do that by multiplying the total amount of search volume by the search conversion rate that Amazon is giving us. So that way we know in the last 360 days, there were about 13,571 total purchases amongst all the products that represent 80% of all the clicks. I know that's a mouthful, but now you can do this with each row, and you can see how much sales volume is happening in each of these keywords or search terms, and it combined, you can see the total for the customer need or niche. So you can implement these into your analysis when you're comparing different niches. All right, next tab is the Insights tab, and here there's a lot of data, and these are the ones that I think are important, which are most of them. And I'll tell you what Amazon is giving us here. They're giving us a snapshot of today, 90 days ago, 360 days ago, and each snapshot has a look back window of, I think I want to say it varies 360 days and then 180 days, depending on what data point they have, right? I'm gonna talk about a few of these. So first of all, they're telling us what percentage of products are using sponsored products, right? Sponsored product ads. You can see that today, with a look back window of 360 days, is 100%, right? And that's out of 11 products that Amazon considers within this niche or customer need. The same was 90 days ago, only that there were 12 products, and 360 days ago there were 13 products, right? And it was 100% on all of them. So that is a bad thing. If everybody's running sponsored product ads, right, that would be one negative criteria for the niche you're researching. The best niches are the ones where not everybody's running ads, because that's when you can go in and have an advantage. Another thing that is not so good about this is the number of products has been going down from 360 to 180 to the last 90 days. But we're going to touch on that a little bit. How many prime products? That to be expected is always going to be 100%. If you see anything lower than 100%, that's a very strong criteria for your research. Then my favorite is the next two, and that is how many products or what's the click share, right, from the top 5 products, right? So remember this data, what I said very, very early on, that in a niche, right, if there's 100 products, but 80% of all the clicks is coming from just 2 products, right? That means it's super consolidated, right? This is what they're telling us here. So here they're telling us the top 5 products, today they have about 80% of all the click share. 90 days ago, they had 77%. 360 days ago, they had 73%, right? So it's been changing, and it's been getting more consolidated, right? And they're telling us here that top 20 products today have 100% of all the clicks, and then it's been the same. And that is because top 20 products is more than the number of products in this niche, right? The 11, the 12, the 13. So ideally, you want to see a situation where the top 5 products are actually, that line is going flat, or the top 5 products are losing click share, right? That, once again, is a niche that is in that expanding mode, is not yet consolidated at the top. Continuing here, number of brands, in this case, happens to be the same as number of products. They're also giving us click share, top 5 brands, click share, top 20 brands, click share. Going to be very similar to the metrics above. Next, they're going to give us how many sellers, right? This is interesting because in this case, there's 4, 7, and 5. And that means that some of these sellers are selling multiple brands each. And that tells me that there is a reseller market going on here. Not all of them are private label sellers. Lastly, and this is the one that's going to probably blow everybody's minds, Amazon is giving us how many new products were launched, okay, in the last different look back windows, 180 days and 360 days. And they're telling us how many of those launches were successful. Think about this. Amazon is telling us how many launches were successful. And the way they defined a successful launch is a product that achieved $50,000 in sales within, I forgot what the date range they use. I think it's 90 days. So $50,000 in sales in the first 90 days, I think it is, which is it's a decent metric, right? So imagine Amazon giving you that. And to go with what I've been saying before, we can see that today there has been one product launch, and Amazon is deeming it successful. 90 days ago there were none, and 360 days ago there were it was also there was one launched, one successful with a 360-day look back window. Now, insights about these metrics, this is not a good niche, right? We want to see a niche that has multiple products being launched and multiple products being successful, right? We want to stay away from situations where it's zero, right? And when it's zero today, 90 days ago, 360 days ago, you want to stay away from situations where nobody's winning, right? When there's a few winners, that is a very positive criteria for your research. Last but not least, that last row, if you can please make the slide bigger. This is the average out of stock of products in the last 360 days. That's a look back window, and it's a percentage, and that is of the total number of products in this niche, right? So the first one, there's 11 products that Amazon is including within this niche. They're telling us that 10% of those went out of stock in the last 360 days. 90 days ago, today, but with the 360-day look-back window. 90 days ago, with the same 360-day look-back window, that percentage was lower. So you want to pay attention to a niche that has a higher percentage there of products going out of stock, because that means if you have good logistics, you can have an advantage there, right? Even like a top competitor going out of stock, that means that everybody goes up the rankings, one slot at least. So, and that could be the defining moment between a product that makes it to the top 5 or not. And by the time they come back in stock, you have already taken a good push in sales. So moving along, there's 2 more tabs here. I'm going to speed up a little bit. Here, this is the trends tab. And this is the trends tab that includes all the products for the specific customer niche. And the first chart up there, I added search volume and I added product count, right? So we can see in this niche of the vegan omega-3, we can see that the search volume has been shrinking. In fact, in the very last couple of weeks, it's been the lowest since almost a year ago, right? You can also see that a year ago, it exploded at the beginning of the year, right? Each of those data points is, I think, a week's worth of data. It also has a look back window, each dot, but still each dot I think is a week. And then we also have the product count, and in terms of product count, it's kind of gone down and then gone back up a little bit, but it's been flat for the last few weeks, and that is again a little bit of indication of consolidation. There's no new products jumping in. On the chart below, you can see average price and also brand count, which happens to be almost the same as product count above. But I added here average price because you also want to see, as a niche or with the product life cycle, as things get more consolidated, you want to, prices tend to go down, right? And profit margins tend to get squeezed. And you want to stay away from situations like that. Like, for example, here, very clearly we can see the average price in this niche has gone down a lot and only recently gone up a little bit, right? But that's a clear sign of, once again, consolidation, harder for a newcomer to make an impact. And there's one last chart here, which is that search conversion rate, right? That I mentioned it. Again, this is not conversion rate in the sense of orders divided by clicks. Rather, this is orders divided by search volume, impressions, if you may. It's gone up a little bit recently. So that's a good thing, right? But it's probably done so because of the drop in price, right? So that's another thing. You can see up here when the price was higher, the search conversion rate was lower. So you want to look at it from both angles. Last but not least, the customer review insights. This time around, they're giving us this data not for one product, like I showed you before, but for all the products in this niche or customer need, the vegan omega-3. So you can see what the people are saying, right? Like, what are the themes of people leaving positive reviews and the themes of people leaving negative reviews, right? And there is some outliers here, and there's also things where it can be a little counterintuitive, right? So 17% of people that left positive reviews, this is the last 6 months, last 6 months worth of review data. So the topic of taste caused 17% of all the reviews, all the mentions. But at the same time, the same topic, taste, was 32% of all the negative reviews, right? So more people are likely to leave a bad review because of taste than they are likely to leave a positive review, right? So that's something important to keep in mind. And we're gonna take it to the next slide. This is where the meat is. You can see the solid bars are the top 25% of the products in this niche, whereas the striped bars are all the products. And then you can see here the contributions to positive ratings or negative ratings. What's interesting here is that the top 25 products in the niche, they have less contribution to the ratings when it comes to ease of chewing, swallowing, compared to all the products in the niche, right? That's interesting. But the one I want to take a look at here is taste. You can see the top 25% of products in this niche, they have a very strong contribution to the ratings from taste, whereas all products as an average, they have a negative contribution, right? So meaning the top 25 products in this niche figured out how to get taste right for this type of product. Lastly, they with price, you can see they have less of a contribution than all products in this niche, right? But I think they can get away with it because they're doing other things right. So
yeah, so I just wanted to mention that if you enjoyed so far the content by Daniel, don't forget to hit the like button below. If you have questions, type them in the comment section below. Also, Daniel, I think it's a good time to ask you, how do you help Amazon sellers and how people can find more about you?
Absolutely. So one of the reasons we're so into these data, right, is because what we do, what AMZ Clever, my agency, does is we manage brands on Amazon and Walmart.com as well. We do things we do full account management. We do also advertising and even new things like Amazon DSP and Google Ads to Amazon, right? And it's very important that we help brands succeed, right? If brands obviously are not succeeding, we don't stay in business. And that's why we pay so much attention to the new data that's available from Amazon and a lot of those success metrics, right, that Amazon is giving us. And we use that to create strategies. So for each brand that we work with, every 90 days, we create a new strategy plan on how we're going to get from point A to point B in the quarter. In terms of how people can reach out to me, the best way should be an email, daniel@amzclever.com. That is also amzclever.com, depending on where in the world you're from. And, even if you just want to connect or you have a follow-up question or you want to ask about what we do and if we can help, shoot me an email. I'm happy to connect with as many people as possible. I try to get back to everybody when I can. So, but that's the best way to connect with me, daniel@amzclever.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for such an insightful presentation. So actually, in addition to this presentation, you also prepared the VIP session. And in that session, you teach how to calculate competitors' conversion rate for organic keywords. And that session is available in the VIP package. So we wanted to ask, can you give us a brief overview, what you share in that video tutorial you recorded for the VIP package buyers?
Absolutely. My VIP session goes deeper into what I shared just now. So just now I gave an overview. On that VIP session, I'm teaching exactly how to calculate conversion rate, organic conversion rate for your competitors and for keywords, and then for the market as a whole, right? So it gets very, very nitty-gritty into the details, right? And very step by step. And remember, because that's something that's never been possible before, right? To know where your competitors get their sales and what conversion rate they're getting. That's what I'll be talking about in that VIP session.
All these videos will not be available in any public places, any public channels. So, for example, Daniel's presentation is here. And yeah, it's another 16 minutes of valuable content. So just find the link below in the description of this video if you would like to upgrade to VIP package. Anyway, we are ready now to move to the questions part.
So let's take the first one. What are the situations where you use brand analytics as compared with other tools or strategies?
Awesome. All right. So, the question here is specific about comparing, right? And I would say right off the bat, brand analytics is giving us search volume data per keyword from Amazon. So I would compare that with other tools that give you search volume, right? That other tools that are, guessing what the search volume is, estimating what the search volume is. I would compare that with what Amazon is actually sharing, and let me know what you find. We've found discrepancies, a lot of discrepancies, right? And to their credit, right? And I love a lot of these tools, and a lot of them are partners of us and whatnot. A lot of them have actually been accurate with some keywords, right? Which is very, very great to see. But with many others, there's a lot of discrepancy. So I would say that's one way you can use brand analytics, comparing it to other tools. Another way is what I'm sharing in my VIP session, which is how to combine different brand analytics reports to basically get this conversion rate, sales volume from competitors data that's available. I think, just to name a few.
Okay, very good. So a question about the tool's data. So does the tool show the data of the organic traffic, or does it also consider traffic and clicks from PPC?
Yeah, very good question. So the Product Opportunity Explorer, as well as the different tools inside brand analytics, they are all based on organic search traffic and search purchasing. So it excludes all PPC. It's safe to say, if we find a certain volume of purchasing, it's safe to say that the real number is even higher when you account for PPC, right? But another insight I want to share is that when you calculate conversion rates on the organic search side, the conversion rates tend to be a little bit higher than PPC conversion rates, right? So if you figure out that for keyword, garlic press, the organic conversion rate, let's say, is 10% for the market as a whole, or for maybe even for your product, right? It's safe to say that the PPC conversion rate will be slightly lower than that. So you can use that to make your projections when you plan to launch a new product.
All right, we have another question. Can I use the information from search query report to improve my PPC?
Absolutely. So, and we didn't have enough time to get to the SQP, but is a game changer when it comes to PPC, because, and this is again, you probably want to get that VIP session, because in that VIP session I share how you're getting the conversion rates for keywords using the search query performance report. And then once you get the conversion rate, then you can make a plan with your PPC, right? You can say, okay, if the organic conversion rate is 10%, maybe with my PPC, I can expect an 8% conversion rate, right? So my budget is X, right? So then you can say, okay, I can afford, 1,000 clicks, assuming this average cost per click, right? And then how you have to spread that into maybe the following few weeks or months, so you can plan if you can launch that product or not, if you have what it takes or not, and that's what you do with the SQP, and that's what also you'll find in the VIP session.
Perfect. So everyone who is watching, don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed the content, and subscribe if you are not subscriber to receive more notifications about upcoming videos. And I know that Daniel has more information on this topic, but we are short of time, so we will invite Daniel for other videos. And if you're watching recording, you will find the link here to watch the next video with Daniel. So Daniel, prepare for our invitation. And now, once again, you can find Daniel's AMZ Clever link below in the description. And Daniel, once more, how can you help Amazon sellers, very briefly?
Yes, absolutely. So we manage brands on Amazon and Walmart. We do management and strategy. I like to say we're hands and brains, and we help brands grow in these platforms. My agency is amzclever.com or amzclever.com, and you can reach out to me via email. I try to get back to everybody. Daniel@amzclever.com or amzclever.com. We didn't get to share the bonus tips, but if you reach out to me via email, happy to share those with you. And once again, it's a pleasure. Thanks to Augustus and Lucette and the whole Orange Click team.
And yeah, we have Jill says, thank you, Daniel, and Orange Click, informative, action-oriented webinar. Thank you, fantastic stuff.
Hey, John.
All right.
How are you? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
And now I would like to invite you to watch other video where you can learn how to optimize Amazon PPC campaigns using Brand Analytics Report.